Everyone, good morning. Today is 23rd of January. My name is Sahil and I welcome you all at the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss entire Hindu newspaper along with the editorial, text and context articles. And I would like to tell you that if you are joining here for the first time, you can download the explainer notes of the articles. They have been given at our Telegram channel, and the link for Telegram channel is given in description box here in YouTube, or you can directly visit Telegram and can search there by typing Thinking Palette by Sahil. Okay, so first of all, before starting up with the video, let's take overview of the entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are actually important in the today's newspaper. So let's take overview. So here the first article that we can see is that Rijiju endorses former High Court judge's view that top court hijacked the constitution. So guys, from last 1 month or so, we are seeing this thing that this rivalry or this kind of a confrontation between judiciary and executive is going on, where executive says that the Supreme Court has basically Supreme Court is using its extraordinary power. Sometimes it is said that the Supreme Court has brought the basic structure doctrine, and by the basic structure doctrine, Supreme Court can do whatever they want. Or sometimes it is said that because Supreme Court has a control in appointment of the higher judiciary, by that they are controlling. Okay, so basically this is being provided on both the sides. However, now you don't need to follow it every day what statements are being made by this minister or by. So now the law minister had made certain statements. We don't need to go every day in this particular detail. Then Exim data revised trade deficit narrows by $10 billion. So basically, guys, the export import data has been revised, and which has brought the current account deficit. Now, one thing again, guys, I want to tell you here very clearly is that, see, when we talk about the economy related articles, you are not really required to track month to month changes that are coming in, thus export import patterns, okay, foreign exchange, okay, or what has been the contribution of manufacturing sector month by month. Not important. Just in few days when economic survey will come, whatever the important data are there you can take it. Okay, I tell this many number of times. Okay, then moving on, Shah Rukh Khan calls Assam CM to flag violent protest against Pathan in state. Then coming to the state section, have turned tent wala schools into talent wala schools. Now much important articles are not there in the regional section. Majorly the political statements by leader, regional political issues, etc. have been given. No need to go too much in these kind of things. Okay, then guys, further moving on, after that the same political articles, etc., advertisements mostly are there in this regional section, not very much important for the examination. So directly we'll come to editorial section, and first article, changing politics incompatible governor. We'll see this particular article with respect to the examination. Then necessary pushback. So guys, again that issue is going on, where what happened few days back, Supreme Court Collegium had recommended the name for the appointment at High Court. Now the center government basically did not took those recommendations. Center government rejected one of a name because that judge was openly sorry, that advocate whose name was to be whose name was recommended was openly gay. So it was said that such sexual orientation might make him biased, and other advocates whose name were recommended, they were said that they have political viewpoints against the government. So on that basis their names were not cleared. So it has been provided that such kind of a thing should not happen. Then a reminder of the flaws in India's urbanization policy. Now this is a good article and actually important also for GS paper number 1, urbanization. We'll take this. Election buggle. So we see this thing that the election schedule has been announced. So what are the stakes for BJP? What are the stakes for other political parties? It has been provided. Political article. No need to go in detail in this particular article. Then further moving on, it's time for India's universities to join the world. We'll see this particular article. Okay, then guys, wooing a caste math is a way of making electoral enrolls into a community. So basically, guys, in the state of Karnataka, how BJP is using its politics, etc., or what are the political maneuvers it's doing vis-a-vis the caste, are provided. No need to go here because political article. Fine. Then further moving on, guys, in this particular direction, a post COVID-19 math skills of student in South West dipped most. Okay, so guys, here the state by state data comparison has been given with respect to the learning outcomes. So guys, recently what has happened, annual status of education report was published. So if you are following, for from past 2 days, okay, Saturday as well as Friday, we have seen the all the annual status of education report data, major findings. Positive thing is that girls enrollment has increased and overall enrollment has also increased. Okay, now here in this particular article, they are giving the state to state comparison. Okay, that Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Maharashtra. So what are the changes that are there? Now you are not required to see microscopic changes that okay in what states what patterns are there, because such things neither UPSC asks, nor more importantly, nor you will be able to remember it by the time your exam will come. So please always keep in your mind the utility dragon tightens its grip. Okay, so guys, this particular article talks about the India's imports from China, which touched a record high. Okay, so we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, where we say that be we will be becoming more self-reliant, but actually our dependency on China increased a lot. Imports have touched 5-year high, exports have went down. Okay, now, what this particular article talking about? This article is talking about that which type of imported goods were there. Okay, so what is the percentage of telephones? What is the percentage of radio parts? Okay, lithium-ion batteries, penicillin, dyeing extracts. These particular data have been provided. Now, what you can do? Okay, moreover, guys, country-wise dependency charts, etc., have been provided. Okay, so what you can do? You can just can, if you want, fine. You can track the broad trends here. Okay, but for explanation nothing is there, simply the data has been given. Okay, different products, but UPSC doesn't ask this thing that okay how much percentage of radio parts we are importing from China or such things. Okay, now on the other page, a lesson from China on gig and platform workers right. Yes, this is now an important article for our exam GS paper number 3, gig sector, platform sector. We'll see this particular article. Okay, then moving on, after that, NIA inspects blast site in Jammu. Okay, Rahul Gandhi's security cannot be compromised. Fine, no need to go. US missions in India to raise staff strength to speed up visa processing. Now, basically, guys, what we have seen that in past 2 years, because the COVID was going on, so as COVID was going on, a lot of visa applications could not be cleared, and now a lot of visa application has piled in USA's embassy. Okay, and because of this particular thing, the students who want to go to US for studies, or the people who want to go to US for other purposes, their visas are not getting cleared because a lot of visa applications have been piled. So now more staff has been raised to speed up this visa process. Now understand this thing, guys, that some articles are there which you need to go much in deep, and not only that article but background and some other details are also to be seen. We do it in every class, but some articles are just to be seen in headline. Okay, or some articles are to be ignored. You need to learn that particular art. For example, no need to go too much in detail in this particular article for our exam point of view. Okay, then after that, moving on, as GDU has weakened, so political articles have been given largely on this particular page. No need to go here. There is one article. Prime Minister calls for prison reforms and repeal of obsolete laws. Okay, we'll see this particular article with respect to prison reforms, criminal justice system reform. Moreover, here there is also Moreover, here there's also the national data governance framework that has been just a word has been given. We'll see that what actually this national data governance framework is all about. We'll take it. Then the side article, rise in attempts to revive militancy in Punjab, says speaker at police meet. Okay, so basically it has been now what is happening actually. 57th All India Conference of Director General of Police is going on. So here it has been said that in Punjab there have been the attempts to increase the militancy. Okay, then further moving on in this particular direction, economy at risk from move to clean energy. We'll see this particular article. Fine, for our examination, some very good important data have been given. Okay, we'll take it. Then further moving on, DGCA, Directorate General of Civil Aviation, new norms for duty timings for air traffic controllers. So air traffic controllers are the personnel who are responsible for guiding the flight paths They guide the flights with respect to the landing, takeoffs, etc. Now, air traffic controllers, they are overworked, they are exhausted because of the long duty hours, so their new timing schedule will be given. Okay, but are you required? Okay, so here it has been provided that a air controller can be given duty of maximum 48 hours. Okay, within 7 days. Now you are not required to go again too much in detail that what will be their duty timing, when they will come, when they will go. No, but yes, when we talk about, guys, recently we have seen that in Nepal an airplane crashed. Now in that when that airplane crashed, okay, so actually in general the safety of the air travel has been raised. Okay, and when we talk about the air travel, particularly the part when an aircraft is landing or aircraft is taking off, there the air traffic controllers play a very important role. Okay, so this is one aspect. Fine. However, timings, duty timings, etc., you don't need to go. Then today is Monday, and on Monday we don't have business section in Hindu newspaper. We have this money wise page. This money wise page, it talks about the investing advices, navigating passive debt funds, where you should put your money for more growth. Fine, where high saving interest rates are there. But for UPSC aspirants, okay, we don't have that money to invest, so no need to go. Okay, so uh, not important article for exam. Then gunmen kills 10 during Lunar New Year fete in USA. Israelis take the street. Now, basically, guys, as we talk about here, international section, just the law and order related issues or evolving political details, etc., has been provided. Classified documents found in Biden's home. Okay, so these things are there. Now, in international section, guys, you need to understand this thing, that every law and order related or every political development in other countries is not important. Only those issues are important which will have implication on India's interest. Okay, and then we have this sports page. So this is, guys, the overview of entire newspaper. Fine, and now let's discuss all the relevant articles one by one in detail. Okay, and as I have told you that we provide you a kind of an explainer notes of this entire section, simplified notes. You can download it from Telegram channel. Okay, now in every class we start with a GS quotation. So today we are going to take quote from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the chief architect of Indian Constitution. So Dr. Ambedkar says that rights are not protected just by the law, but by the social and moral conscience of the society. Okay, now understand this thing, guys. Fundamental rights, for example, have been given in the part 3 of Indian Constitution. For example, there is article number 17 which talks about right against untouchability. Now, when if you want to remove untouchability, do you think that only law will able to remove that untouchability? No. If right has to be given, if empowerment has to be given, that thing that thing will come with the social and moral conscience of the society. Your conscience is inner voice, your inner moral compass which tells you what is correct, what is wrong. So when our internal voice will guide us towards the right and wrong, then only the rights of the people will be implemented. They will be able to enjoy those particular rights. So this is very, very important. Fine, a society's social and moral conscience needs to be upright for the enjoyment of rights, for the fulfillment of democracy and all such things. So this particular quotation can be used very effectively in the GS paper number 4, ethics, integrity and aptitude. Okay, now moving on, and let's start with the first article. Now, first of all, let's read the heading of article. Okay, so a lesson from China on gig platform workers' rights. Okay, now first of all, where this article will be important? This article will be important in GS paper number 3, sectors of Indian economy. Okay, now before going in this particular article, I would like to tell you some of the background information which is not given in the article but very important for us to make sense of this particular article. So let's take the background first of all. So basically, guys, there are two words that we often use, that is the gig sector and platform sector or platform worker. Now, what do we mean by this particular two words? So first of all, guys, the gig sector is that particular sector of economy where the employee and employers, they don't have some formal permanent agreement with respect to the work terms. Okay, what will happen here? The relation between the employee and employer will be will be assignment based. Permanent employment will not be there. Let me help you with the help of an example. Now suppose guys, I am making some videos. Suppose I am making some videos and I want a person to edit these videos. What I can do? I can hire a person that, okay, you come and you edit videos for me and I will pay you money on per video basis. Okay, per video basis I will pay you money. Now guys, if we see the relation of me and this person who is working for me, we don't have any permanent contract of engagement. He is free to work at 4 5 times at one place, and if I want, I can also hire 2 3 more people to edit more videos at the same time. So what is the gig sector? Gig sector is that sector of economy where employee and employers, they are not bound in permanent employment contract. Employee can have a lot of people at the same time, and sorry, the employee might be working for a lot of people at the same time, and employer is also not bound to give him some social security benefit, some minimum salary, or all such kind of things. Okay, then we have this platform. So guys, what is the case? So today many of the gig sector is operating through platforms. Now I just want to give you one example. Let's take the example of Zomato. Let's take the example of Zomato. So basically Zomato is a platform, and through this platform Zomato riders are employed by the Zomato on a gig arrangement. So many number of times people who want to work in this gig sector, they go to platform, and on that platform they find some assignments. For example, today I am unemployed and I want to find this gig work. What I'll do? I'll go on Zomato, I will become a Zomato rider. I will go on Uber, I will become an Uber driver. I will go on Swiggy, I will become a Swiggy rider. Okay, so today there are the platforms which are offering this gig work. Okay, there are the platforms which are offering this gig work. So today we see this particular thing, that these platforms have increased. So many platforms are there. You have urban company, Swiggy, Zomato, Ola, Uber, Zepto, Blinkit, all the people, these are the platforms which are offering this gig work, to the people there. Now we find this particular thing, that guys, over the years this gig works fine. Now the understand this thing, that gig work is not new. Earlier also people have worked, but today the platforms have increased so much, and therefore these platform workers, okay, their interest, their concerns are being raised from time to time, which ranges at many levels. So today we are going to discuss that how the platform workers are often facing certain problems vis-a-vis their rights are concerned. Now first of all, why we are discussing this particular article, what is immediate context? So recently guys, we have seen this particular thing, that Swiggy has announced that it will lay off 380 of its employees due to macroeconomic conditions. Okay, now these employees that are being laid, these were the permanent employees, not the gig workers. Gig workers are the riders, food delivery agents, etc. But again, because of this particular thing, Swiggy, which happens to be a very big platform which is employing the people on gig work, it has come in the news. Now first of all guys, what are the challenges that have come in news in past few months with respect to the platform workers? Number one is that they pay very low, wages. Sometimes even the minimum wage is not being paid. For example, when we talk about these food delivery agents, they are getting anywhere around 20 25 rupees for one order. One thing. Second thing guys, today we see this particular thing, that the instant delivery has become a kind of a big thing. Instant delivery has become a kind of a big thing. For example, today Blinkit, it promises that it will deliver your groceries within 10 minutes. Now the 10 minute, okay, the order has been placed, order will be packed, then order will be given to delivery agent, and then delivery agent will deliver your order all within 10 minutes. Now often it puts safety, often it puts the safety of these gig workers at stake. Many number of times they are not following the traffic rules, they are riding on the wrong side, so their safety is a very big concern. Then guys, thirdly, we see this particular thing, that these gig platform workers, they are overworked, they have to work for 12, 13, 14 hours. Is it clear or not? Overworked. And then fourthly, we see this particular thing, there is no social security for them. They are not given any leaves, they are not given any sickness leave, they are not given any other kind of a holiday leave, nothing. Okay, that is something that is going on. Okay, so point is that around the world, these platforms today had become such a dominant force, they are employing so many of the people, good thing, but at the same time their practices become exploitative. Now, when we talk about such kind of a concern that has been raised, here guys, the example of China has been given. Okay, we'll talk about it. Now, before that guys, as I have discussed with you that their practices of these platforms have become exploitative. Against that, recently what has happened in 2021, Indian Federation of app based transport workers, fine, they actually filed a public interest litigation. A PIL was filed in Supreme Court, and this PIL asked three things. It asked three things for the platform workers. Number one, union government should provide succor, or it means financial assistance. Union government should provide financial assistance to the workers affected by the pandemic. So many of the workers who are working at this platform sector, for example, urban companies there. Now urban company, it hires people, urban company gives assignment to the people for beauty care, services, etc., or many such kind of things. So many of the worker got affected into pandemic, so they should be given some financial assistance. Number one. Number two, it was provided that the gig workers, fine, platform workers, they should be declared as unorganized workers. Now, what do we mean? Why unorganized workers? Because guys, understand this thing, we have Unorganized Workers Social Security Act 2008, and if they will be declared as unorganized workers, they will get some social security benefit under it. Now see this thing, these platform workers, neither they are a formal employee, nor they are recognized and unrecognized worker, they come in middle. Okay, so this is the second demand. And the third demand that was provided is that basically it demanded that food delivery platforms such as the Zomato, Swiggy, taxi aggregators such as the Ola, Uber, etc., they should give social security benefits. To these platform workers. So these three demands were made in Supreme Court by Indian Federation of App-Based Transport Workers. Now this particular matter is going on. Now it has been provided that, see, as in India, these demands are being made, similar matters have happened in other countries also. For example, China. So we saw this particular thing that in 2020, pandemic began from China, and what has happened basically in China since 2020, basically the plight of the platform workers have come in public limelight. Okay, and the public has become very much concerned about the problems that these platform workers are facing. Now see this particular thing, guys. When we talk about the China had two of the biggest platform food delivery platforms, that is Meituan and LA.me. So in India we have Swiggy and Zomato. So China's Swiggy and Zomato are Meituan and LA.me. Okay, this is something. Now guys, they were also accused. These two platforms were also accused of the same exploitative practices. Now what has happened recently? Recently, China has declared that the practice of forcing workers to register as independent businesses need to be ended by these two platforms. Now what it means? Now guys, see this thing. Suppose I want to become a food delivery agent at these two companies. Okay, so I will register myself as an independent business. Why this thing? What will happen? Our company doesn't has any responsibility for my welfare, because I am my own independent business. Company is not required to give me any social security benefit. They are not required to give me any sickness leave, because I am just a vendor for them. I am just a vendor for them. I am my own independent business. Okay. And by this particular thing, they were not giving any social security benefit. Now China has said that you cannot register them as independent business. You have to register them as employees and you have to give them social security benefit. Good thing. So this is good thing that has happened in the China. Okay, but guys, at the same time, if we talk about these platform workers, they are facing problems, and in almost all the countries there are the protests to improve the working conditions of these platform and gig workers. For example, in China, India, US, Europe, their demands for giving them better conditions, it got improved, it got increased post 2020. Now why? Because guys, in 2020 these people emerged as frontline workers. These people emerged as frontline workers. Moreover, in 2020, one of a Chinese magazine, that is Renwu. In 2020, one of a Chinese magazine, that is Renwu. Just a minute. Fine, Chinese magazine, that is a Renwu. It published one article where it talked about that how delivery workers across the different platforms, they are overworked, they are exhausted, and they are not being given any kind of benefit. This is something that has happened. Okay, and since then there is a lot of backlash that has happened. Now today when we talk about the China, guys, Chinese government is focusing on common prosperity. Common prosperity. Now what is this idea of common prosperity? Very important. So guys, see this thing that over the years Chinese economy had grown at double digit. Obviously the prosperity had come in China, money has come in China, but it got fallen in few hands only. Inequality has increased a lot. So therefore, in order to reduce that inequality, China is focusing on common prosperity, where it will follow on narrowing the widening wealth gap. Now as we talk about these platform workers, they are very poor people, so they are also to be provided some dignified working conditions. Is it clear or not? So this is something. Now at the same time, guys, when we talk about the China, we see this particular thing that though in China there is a weak civil society. In China there is an absence of independent labor unions. So therefore what happened, the gig workers, they have only one option, that they will come at their own on the streets and will protest against these platforms. Okay, because independent media is not there in China, weak civil society is there in China, so they themselves come on street and they protest. And here we have found in China that public also supported these gig workers. Public also supported these gig workers, and because of that, now China came out with the reforms. Now, as we talk about India, guys, it has been provided that in India also, there are many of the protests that got started for the welfare of the gig workers and platform workers. But we see this particular thing that in India, if any protest is being carried, if any reform is being brought, it is wholly if now what is a yes, any reform in this sector is led wholly by the delivery workers, not by the public. So public is not participating too much in these platform workers protest or their demands. We have seen in 2020 what happened. Approximately 3,000 of delivery workers from Swiggy, they went on strike in Hyderabad. Why? Because the remuneration that was to be paid to them, earlier 35 rupees were to be paid, it got reduced to just 15 rupees. So delivery workers came on the streets, they protested, but public did not supported them much. This is something that has been seen. Moreover, guys, recently in the month of July, when Zomato was coming with their IPO, then also the workers through anonymous Twitter handles, they raised their concern that how they are not being provided the basic wages, etc. This is something that has been happened. And even this PIL that has been found in Supreme Court, here also the workers themselves have raised their matter. Okay, so public is largely absent in India when the concerns of these platform workers are talked here. Now recently, guys, in USA also, so in entire world these issues are going on. In USA also, the platform workers or the gig workers, they asked for improved working conditions, and there they urge the customers to delete the Instacart app. So Instacart app is to be deleted, which is a delivery based app in the USA, and they were asking the customers that they should show solidarity. Okay, they should show the support to the platform workers. So in India now the public needs to understand the plight of the platform workers, and they need to support their cause. Fine. So this is all this particular article is talking about. So guys, this is all about it. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to next article. Before that, if you have any doubt, Sir, these gig platforms do adhere to labor laws. If not, action should be taken by the government by now. Now, the guys understand this thing, that there are 4 labor codes that have been announced by the government already. And under these 4 labor codes, the social security for the gig workers have been provided. But up till now, the implementation of those 4 labor codes have not happened properly. So still there is a gray area in which this entire condition is going on. Still these platforms are not paying the social security benefit to these workers. Okay, so this is the present condition on ground. Okay, now moving to next article. Moving to next article. Now, economy at risk from move to clean energy. Economy at risk from move to clean energy. Okay, now guys understand this particular thing, that okay, so this article will see with respect to GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, economy versus environment. Economy versus environment. Okay, so we always see this particular thing, that if we talk about environmental conservation, economy is going to get impacted anyhow. Okay, for example, you talk about environmental conservation, we say that development in forested regions is not good because environment is to be conserved. But if you do that thing, how development will happen? If we want to conserve the environment, we say that developmental projects should not pass from the jungle region, so environment will be conserved, but obviously then infrastructure will not get developed, economy will get impacted. Guys, today around the world, the developing countries, they are saying this particular thing openly, that for us growth is important. For us growth is important. For us poverty eradication, poverty eradication is more important. We need more growth and we need to reduce poverty. And for that particular thing, what we need to go for? We need to go for rapid development. And when we talk about the development, for the development, we need cheap energy. We need cheap energy. And up till now, developing countries largely had derived their electricity, their energy from coal, from hydrocarbons, okay, or from such sources which have huge carbon footprint, which have a huge carbon footprint. So we are up till now dependent on coal based energy or hydrocarbon based energy. Okay, even the investment which have been made, they are into the coal fired power plant. Okay, and guys, if I tell you guys, today around 70% of electricity in India provided in this article, it is coming from the hydrocarbons, particularly the coal. Now what it is provided, it's provided that, but now the world is focused that we need to go for, now the world is talking about that we need to focus on energy transition. Now we need to focus on energy transition. We need to become carbon neutral. Okay, okay, energy transition from coal, move to renewable energy, wind energy, solar energy, etc. Okay, carbon neutrality, ensure that carbon emission that you are emitting and carbon that you are absorbing, it should be balanced. Your net carbon emission should be zero. India has also chosen to become carbon neutral by 2070. Okay, very good. But today guys, if we see a lot of investment, a lot of investment, a lot of investment that has been made, it has been made actually in the coal fired power plant. The banks, they have given a lot of loan to the coal fired power plants. Okay, the investors, they had given a lot of money. So today if we move from the coal or hydrocarbon towards the clean energy, what about these bank loans? What about those corporates which are largely dependent on them? They will face a economic loss. So this is what is being discussed in this particular article. So this major theme is being discussed in this particular article. So let's discuss, and now as we'll discuss, you will get even more clarity slowly. Fine. Now, so actually guys, what had happened recently, the Global Environmental Change Journal, Global Environmental Change Journal, which is a report, Global Environmental Change Journal, it has released this thing that India's financial sector is highly exposed to the risks of the economy transitioning from largely dependent on fossil fuel to clean energy. What it means? I have just told you that today we want to go for energy transitions. Today we want to go for energy transition. And as we go for that, we'll move from coal to renewable energies. But a lot of loan has been given to coal energy. A lot of investment has been made in the coal-fired power plants. And if we will abandon those coal-fired power plant immediately, how that money will be recovered? How that money will be recovered? Okay. Now, before moving, I want to just tell you some of the basic information. Okay. So this global now, so a study has been published in the Global Environmental Change Journal. Okay, so Global Environmental Change Journal is a magazine in which this study has been published. Okay, now moving on. So basically, now what they have done, guys, they have done the analysis of the loans. They have done the analysis of the loans that have been given to the coal sector. Okay, investment that have been made into the carbon intensive sector, and they have given some numbers. Very important, understand this thing. It has been said that all the individual loans that have been given, okay, loans have been given to the mining sector. Total loans that have been given to the mining sector, 60% of the lending, 60% of the lending that has happened, it is for oil and gas extraction. So out of the loans given in mining sector, 60% loan are for oil and gas extraction. So today when we talk about energy transition, today when we talk about moving towards clean energy, obviously oil and gas, it is need to be minimized, but a lot of loan has been given to this sector. If you minimize this sector, if you minimize this sector, how they will be able to pay back that particular loan? So this is going to be an economic cost. Then it has been provided that 1/5 of the manufacturing sector debt, around 20%, 20% of the debt loan that has been given to the manufacturing sector, it is for petroleum refining and related industries. Now, if we again go for energy transition, if we will move away from that, how these petroleum refining industries will pay their loans? So this is going to be a very big problem. It has been provided that, guys, total credit or the loan that has been given, only 17.5% of the credit lending is to the pure play renewables. So renewable sector has received only 17.5% of the loan. Majority of other loan is going to the coal or hydrocarbon based electricity producers. Now, guys, it has been provided that even there is a shortage of experts in India's financial institution that hold expertise fine to advise the institution for such a transition. Okay, how the institutions which are now using coal or such hydrocarbons, how they can go for transition? Even we don't have experts. Now it has been provided that, guys, the out of the 4 out of the 10 major financial institutions that were surveyed, now financial institutions provide loan, they provide money. So 40% of them, or 4 out of the 10, they did not collected any information on environmental, social and governance risks. Environment, social and governance risks. Okay, so if a company is doing a lot of pollution, they are not good on environmental parameter. If they are not taking care of society, they are not good on social parameter. If their governance is not good, they are not good on governance parameter. But these 3 parameters are not checked before giving loan. Fine. So this is a very big issue that has come. So it has been provided that, guys, India already took the target of net zero emissions to become carbon neutral by 2070. For that particular thing, we need at least $1 trillion for that energy transition. We need at least $1 trillion. But do we have that investment? Okay, or do we have avenues for that particular investment? Clearly, no. Majorly investment that is going on, it is going for the conventional energy plants such as the coal-fired power plants. Now, in order to bring or in order to attract more investment towards the renewable energy projects or to those projects which are environmentally sensitive, recently Reserve Bank of India has announced that they will release their first ever sovereign green bonds. Sovereign means they are issued by the government. Green bond means that whatever the money will be raised, this particular money will go for building environmentally sensitive projects. Okay, so we have launched the sovereign green bonds, and 2 type of bonds will be launched: 5-year bond and 10-year bond. Guys, what is a bond? bond is nothing but just simply a financial instrument to raise money from the market. Government will issue the bond. On that bond, it will be written that I have borrowed from Mr. XYZ this much money and this much interest rate is to be paid. Okay, so bond is a way of raising money. So 5-year and 10-year green bond has been recently issued by the government of India, and the government aims to raise around $40 billion. But we need at least $1 trillion to achieve the carbon neutrality. From where that money is going to come? No idea up till now. Okay, now if we talk about the present day, coal plays a very important role in energy generation in India. So it has been provided that coal, it accounts for 44% of India's primary energy source, and 70% of the power generation is coming from coal. 70% of power generation is coming from coal. Now, guys, obviously there are some changes also that are there with respect to this particular data. For example, if you go on the website of the Ministry of Power, you find that they say coal is contributing around 51% in energy, but this report says that coal is contributing 70% in electricity. Okay, so these changes are here or there, but anyhow, we can very safely say that more than half of India's electricity comes from coal-fired power plants. So point is that we are still investing in that. Moreover, it has been provided that India has 91,000 megawatt of new proposed coal capacity that is to be added. Okay, so proposal is of deploying 91,000 megawatt equivalent coal energy power plants. So point is that already there is too much investment, and we are proposing even new coal fired power plants. So how the energy transition will be possible? How the energy transition will be possible? This is a very big question mark that is there. Okay, now guys, understand this particular thing, that as we have talked about this particular report. Okay, now the report published in Global Environmental Change Journal. Guys, you can give these particular references in your examination. Now see this particular thing, that whenever you are writing answers, particularly in the mains, you need to make sure that your answers are backed by some data, some fact, some report, because that is something which will give credibility to your answer. So please do that particular thing, and here these reports can very suitably be quoted. Okay, now moving to next article. A reminder of the flaws in India's urbanization policy. A reminder of the flaws in India's urbanization policy. Now we'll see this particular article with respect to GS paper number 1, issues related to urbanization. GS paper number 1, issues related to urbanization. Now, before moving in this article, I would like to tell you some of the basic information about urbanization, which you should know. Okay, so let's discuss some of the basic things. When we talk about urbanization entails three things. Urbanization entails three things. Number one, physical relocation of people from rural to urban areas. As per Niti Aayog's report, by 2030, 41% of Indians will be living in urban areas. So physical relocation is going on, that is urbanization. But often we stop here only, okay, that urbanization is physical relocation, but no, it entails more other things also. For example, urbanization also entails change in consumption patterns. Pattern. Okay, so we see this particular thing, guys. If you go in rural areas and if you go in urban areas, consumption patterns are largely different. A lot of expenditure will be on other things. For example, lifestyle goods, education, they will be a bigger chunk of consumption. Fine, consumption patterns will change. And urbanization also entails change in attitude and values. So we have physical urbanization and then we have social urbanization. In social urbanization, your consumption patterns will change, your attitudes and values will change, and physical is just moving from rural to urban. Now, understand this particular thing. Guys, as we talk about urbanization in India is always seen as a challenge. But by very design, it is not a challenge. All the countries in the past who have moved from developing to developed, they have seen urbanization. Guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about an underdeveloped economy, when we talk about an underdeveloped economy, it is largely based on primary goods. It is largely based on primary goods which are manufactured in rural areas. Okay, but when we will move towards the path of development, when we move towards the path of development and a country becomes developed, its major economic activity is in manufacturing sector, its major economic activity is in services. Now service sector, manufacturing sector, it needs some infrastructure which is available in urban towns. So what will happen over the period of time, as you will be moving towards development, either the rural areas itself will become urbanized, or towns will become urbanized, or people will move to the urban areas. So we see this particular thing, that there is a this kind of a graph that is there. There's a this kind of a graph that is there. Okay. So here we see this particular thing. So as development will come, as development will come, urban population is going to get increased. Urban population is going to get increased. And as the country will reach a particular scale of development, the share of urban population is going to be high. It has happened in all the countries. But why in India then we see urbanization as a challenge? Because in India we are not able to deal with urbanization. So as population will increase in urban areas, we need to give them more housing. We need to give them basic amenities. But India had failed to provide those basic amenities. Today in urban areas, we find this particular thing, that ease of living in urban areas is very much poor. So because of this particular reason, India has a problem of urbanization. Urbanization happened in many of the great cities. London's population, New York's population, Chicago's population boomed a lot in 18th and 19th century, particularly 19th century. But there was problem, but now they have tackled that problem to a large extent, not completely, but to a large extent. Okay, so this is the issue. Now coming back, so when we talk about urbanization, guys, so this particular article is talking about that today in urban areas we need a lot of urban infrastructure. We need a lot of urban infrastructure. We need better roads, we need public parks, we need parkings. Okay, so better urban infrastructure is needed. Let me zoom it out for you so that you can see it more clearly. Fine. So yes, today there is a lot of urban infrastructure that is needed, and basically it has been provided that a report by the World Bank on the financing India's urban infrastructure needs focuses that private investment can be brought for improving urban problem. For example, what can be a very simple model of private investment? You see this thing, you invite Ambanis, that you construct multi-level parking in Delhi in all the colonies. Okay, now they will construct the multi-level parking in all the colonies. What will happen? Parking problem will be solved. People will park their cars there. Now in return they will be charged some monthly subscription fees, and by that the private player who has invested in that facility, they will be able to recover that. Okay, so private investment or public private investment is a way to ensure basic infrastructure in urban cities. This is a proposal given by the World Bank report. Now in India, guys, we are also running many interventions to build the basic urban infrastructure. For example, there is in urban reforms we are running the smart city mission. Okay, and under the smart city mission, fine, 100 plus cities will be chosen to be converted in smart city. First of all, what is a smart city? We don't have any one universal definition of smart city. Smart city from the standards of India will be different. For example, as we talk about India, smart city could be one city where we have better transportation, where we have all the basic amenities in place. But from the standard of Japan, their smart city might be entirely different. Okay, so smart city is that city which have the smart infrastructure in place, which have smart governance practices in place, which have smart administrative practices in place. But what is the smart? No one meaning. It will be varying from country to country. So we are running the smart city mission where 100 plus countries will be made as a smart city. Okay, and these cities are chosen by the city challenge competition. This is one way by which we are trying to provide the basic good infrastructure into the urban India. Now, guys, the article is further talking about that what has happened. There are 3 decades. Okay, you know this particular thing, that 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act came in 1992, which constitutionalized the panchayat and urban local bodies. So urban local bodies got constitutionalized, and in 2022, 30 years have happened since such urban reform. But up till now, urban areas are facing their unique challenges. Urban areas don't have the basic infrastructure. If I tell you the expenditure, okay, you know that a city needs the money to operate. Now understand this thing. When we talk about the urban capital expenditure is that expenditure which is done on making of asset, for example, buildings, roads, flyovers. The expenditure on that is capital expenditure. Expenditure on salaries, etc., is revenue expenditure. So when we talk about the urban capital expenditure, 48% comes from central government gives money. 24% comes from state government gives money, and just 15% is derived from the city government. Now cities at their own, they are levying many taxes, for example, property tax, okay, and many other municipal level taxes. They are charging utility charges, okay, for example, you pay water bill, utility charges. From that, they are able to contribute in capital expenditure, but they are able to contribute only 15%. So we see this particular thing, and public private partnership, they contribute around 3%. Public private partnership, they contribute around 3%. So we see this thing that the cities themselves don't have much revenue, and even PPP, public private partnership, they are not giving too much of contribution. Okay, they are not giving too much of contribution. Now, actually, there is a lot of gap. There is a lot of gap. Lot more money is needed, and here we have certain reports. Please hear these particular reports finding very clearly. So we have largely report number 1, Ishar Judge Aluwalia report. This particular report provides that we need around 39.2 lakh, or simply 40 lakh crore rupees by 2030. So if you need to provide basic infrastructure in cities, 40 lakh crore rupees are needed by 2030. Then we have McKinsey report. McKinsey report says that we need 90 lakh crore rupees investment, and a World Bank report which says that we need 70 lakh crore rupees investment in urban cities to provide basic infrastructure to the people. But do we have that kind of money? No. Now, government is running many of the flagship programs to enhance the infrastructure. For example, we have smart city mission where more than 100 cities will be helped. Then there is the Atal mission for rejuvenation and urban transformation, Amrut will fund 500 cities for basic urban amenities such as that piped drinking water, sewage, etc. Okay, then we have Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which will provide the housing to the people. Now, in total, the expenditure that these 3 schemes are going to put in, these scheme is not more than 2 lakh crore rupees. These schemes will not pool more than 2 lakh crore rupees. But what we need? 90 lakh crore, 70 lakh crore, 40 lakh crore rupees. So point is that from where this particular money is come, how will such a gap between demand and supply be matched? This is a very big concern. Okay, now in this particular thing, guys, I want to give you one important finding. Now, though you might be knowing this also, see this thing. Today we see this thing that cities or urban India, they are called as the engines of growth. Majority of GDP contribution that is coming, it is coming from cities. Moreover, at the same time, guys, the large taxpayers, fine, they also live in the cities. So when we talk about the total government revenue that is coming, 85% of the government revenue is coming from the cities. The people living in cities, they are paying GST, they are paying the direct taxes, corporation tax is being paid by the by the companies. So 85% of government revenue, it comes from the cities. Okay. So point is that the cities are generating a lot of money for you. But the point is that the cities, they themselves don't have money for their own basic infrastructure. The point is that whenever we talk about improving the infrastructure and basic amenities for the citizens, we say that technological solutions will solve, tech centric solutions will solve. Okay, high capital intensive technologies are being focused. Okay, moreover the plans must be made. Moreover what guys happens, moreover what happens, the plans are made from top to bottom approach. Plans are being made from top to bottom approach. Central government will make a plan, okay, or some other ministry, fine, for example Ministry of Urban Affairs will make a plan and they will impose it to the bottom levels. Now this is wrong, this is wrong. We need to ensure that the bottom to top plans are being made for development. Urban cities, they should identify their own challenges. Every city will have unique challenge. For example, in some city there is a challenge of parking is a big problem. In some other city, traffic is a big problem. In some other city, there are a lot of stray animals that are roaming here and there. That is a big challenge. So cities should identify as how they want to develop, and they should submit their plan at the state level, then at the union level. So this is something that is required. Moreover, we also need to empower the city government. We not need to empower the people. We need to give them the financial resources. Now guys, here there is one very important committee recommendation that you should immediately write in your notebook or you should download it. Now actually what happened, the National Task Force to review the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act was constituted, and this particular task force recommended that out of the total income tax receipts that are there, 10% of the receipts should be given to the city government. 10% of the income tax collected from the cities to be given back to them, ensuring that this corpus fund is utilized only for the infrastructure building. Now see this thing, in the total income tax, whatever Delhi has given, 10% give back to Delhi, so that they can focus on that. By that thing, what will happen, their financial empowerment will happen. This is something that is important. Is it clear or not? Fine, their financial empowerment will happen. Is it clear? Moreover, there is also need to focus on three reforms. 3F, 3F, finances, give them more finance, as we have seen here. Functions, give them more power, give them more power. Okay, give them more areas where they can take decisions. And functionaries means give them human resource, and that human resource should be given there, should also be given the substantial authorities. So this is something guys that has been provided in this particular article. Okay, so that is all guys about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. Fine, we have tried to simplify it as much as it was possible. Now moving to next article. It's time for India's university to join the world. It's time for India's universities to join the world. Now this particular article guys, we are going to see with respect to the GS paper number 2, GS paper number GS paper number 2 social justice education, as well as GS paper number 2 government interventions. Okay, let's take this particular article. Now first of all guys, the article starts with the premise that we know this thing, that India has assumed the G20 presidency. India has assumed the G20 presidency. Now first of all, as we talk about India guys, always India has been a global academic leader. India has been a global academic leader. Now we see this particular thing, that as we have become the G20 president, it is time that we should join the world's academic community as a major player. Major player. Now India is always well known as top global scientists, global academicians, university leaders, they are there in India. Is it clear or not? But actually India's academic environment now needs to get changed. We need to focus more on education. Though we have produced premier scientists, we have produced premier engineers, but we need to focus more. This is the context of this particular article. Now guys, see this particular thing, that India is in a particularly advantageous position today. Fine. Why? Because first of all, India has emerged as an important economy. India has emerged as an important geopolitical player. First of all, if you take example of India's economy, now guys understand this particular thing, that by 2030, India will surpass Japan. By 2030, India will surpass the Japan. Okay, and will surpass the Japanese economy. Okay, and then Indian economy will be the second after the China in Asia. Secondly, geopolitical player. If you see, India is a participant in many of the initiatives. For example, quadrilateral security dialogue. India is sitting at the head of the Indian Ocean. India is the partner in I2U2, that is India-US, India-Israel initiative. India is partner under IPEF, Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Okay. Now, India has emerged as an economic player, as a geopolitical player, and India also plays an important role in higher education. How we play an important role in higher education? Two ways. Number one, India is an exporter of students and talent in many scientific field. When we talk about the H1B visa, which USA issues, largest number of holders of H1B visa are from India. So high skilled talent is exported by India to other countries. Now we also call it as a brain drain. But anyhow, this is an importance of India. Secondly, so we are exporter of the student. Okay, moreover guys, we also see this particular thing, that there is a growing interest abroad in linking with Indian universities. Okay, so Indian universities want to foreign universities want to collaborate with India. They want to open their campuses in India. Recently, UGC, University Grant Commission, it has also released its guideline to allow foreign universities to open their campuses in India. So there is a growing interest abroad in linking with Indian universities, Indian research institutes. Okay, why they want to collaborate with them? Now, why they want to collaborate with them? Basically, guys, understand this thing, that first of all, there is a lot of untapped talent in India. There is a lot of untapped talent in India that can be leveraged for the Western countries. Second thing is that today the world is disengaging from China. World is disengaging from China, and after the China, who is the next logical partner? That is India. So multiple level of engagements are there. First of all, I told you that the foreign universities want to collaborate in India. They want to open campuses in India. Secondly, even the top hiring firms that are there in the West, they want to do their hiring from India because of the Indian rich human resource talent that we have. Okay, now moving in this particular direction, guys. So it has been provided that when we talk about India, India is not only the world's second largest academic system. We have so many of the universities, college. Okay, India, but also India has world's most complex and little understood academic environment. There are problems in India's higher education environment. Number one, our education setup is more fragmented. So many hundreds and thousands of engineering college. If you live around Delhi, and from Delhi, if you go to Sonipat Murthal, you will find hundreds and hundreds of engineering colleges on both the sides of road. Okay, so our institutes are more fragmented. They are fragmented in on disciplines. Okay, we don't have multi-domain universities dealing with all the domains at the same place. No, we have institutions specific to a domain. Engineering college, they are standalone. Medical college, they are standalone. College for humanities, they are standalone. So there is a lot of fragmentation in the higher education that is there. There is a lot of inflexibility. The curriculum cannot be changed. Inflexibility, tight subject boundaries, uneven quality. You have IITs on one hand. Which provides such a good education, and on the other hand, you have Chajumal College, which doesn't even provide the basic education, which doesn't provide even the decent quality of education. So uneven quality is a very big problem. Now, we have a national education policy which came in 2020. That is the biggest education reform that came in the last 34 years in India. First education policy came in 1968. Second education policy came in 1986. Now, this second education policy was amended in 1992. So, some people are confused. No, 1986 was amended in 1992, and then the third education policy came in 2020. So as the third National Education Policy 2020 came, it focused on consolidation of the fragmented higher education. Okay, they will be consolidated. They will be the quality, the goal of bringing flexibility. Okay, now when we talk about the flexibility, we use the word autonomy. Autonomy. So higher educational institutions will be given autonomy to design their courses, autonomy to hire the teachers, autonomy with respect to the pedagogy, etc. Okay, multidisciplinary education. So now I have told you just a few minutes back that institutions, they are fragmented. They are focusing only domain specializations. For example, engineering college giving only engineering education, medical college giving only medical education, we need to go for consolidation, and we need to have these multidisciplinary education institutions, which will be very big institutions, universities, which will provide education of all the domains. Now, what is the benefit of that? Benefit of that is that when they will be such huge, they will have a lot of capacity to invest in quality infrastructure. Today, many of the engineering colleges, they don't even have functional lab. They don't have a proper, they are not meeting the land norms. They are not having the proper faculty. They don't have the resources to invest in that. But when these big institutions will be there, they can invest more in that. And by that particular thing, what will happen? Basically, these higher education institutions, which will now focus on quality, they will fuel growth, high quality, they will fuel growth. All these things will happen. Okay. Now, it has been provided that the private sector college and universities continue to fuel growth. High quality government institutions such as IITs, they will also expand. Okay. So private institutions, government institutions, premier institutions, all will focus on improving the higher education and its outcomes. Now, we also have started already NIRF, National Institution Ranking Framework. Now, what is NIRF? In NIRF, the institutions, they are ranked on the basis of different parameters. For example, inclusivity, the parameter of learning outcome. Okay, all these particular parameters are there. So under NIRF, institutions are ranked, they are given the ranking. We have total 11 categories under the NIRF. NIRF has helped us how? Because guys, it instills a kind of a competitive spirit. The institutions which are being given the top rank, they want to retain that rank, and the institutions which have the lower rank, they will be incentivized to go at the top rank. So National Institution Ranking Framework had tried to bring the competition in the higher educational institutions by which they are improving. But we see this now in this particular capacity, India's global ranking in scientific publications had improved from 7th in 2010 to 3rd in 2020. So now we are publishing more scientific papers. This is something. Even on Global Innovation Index, our rank has improved to 40 in 2022. Okay, our rank was around 81 in 2014. So from 81, our rank has improved to 40. This is very much good. But you should not be that much happy. At the same time, if we see the ranking of universities at the global ranking, in the global ranking list, you will be disappointed. Now, here in this particular direction, guys, it has been provided that for now, as we talk about the international rankings, we have two of the most premier ranking list. We have the QS, Quick Rally Siemens, and other is a Times list of ranking. So here the data of Times ranking has been given. So according to the Times higher ranking 2023, only Indian Institute of Science was in the 251 to 300 range. 251 to 300 range. Fine, we don't have a place in top 100, top 50. IISc was the institution in 251 to 300 rank, and another 75 institutions, which include IITs, AIMS, etc., they were ranked even lower. Okay, so this is something that has been there. And when we talk about the China consistently has their institutions in top 50. Now, how that has happened? Didn't happen overnight. China invested billions and billions of dollars in their education over the last few decades, particularly the last 2 decades. So because of that, the China has now showcased that how they are leading the ranking. Now, today when we talk about, guys, India's universities, India's higher education is not just they are not just the facilities to educate the people or to provide the talent to the industries, but they also protrude India's soft power. Right? India's university and India's scientific prowess is an important part of India's soft power strategy. Soft power strategy. So we need to improve the academic environment with respect to the education in India. Okay. Now, in this particular capacity, there are top quality non-profit private universities that had emerged, which are being financed by the philanthropic minded people. This is something that is there. Okay. Now, when we talk about, guys, the India's education sector, okay, we find this particular thing that the basically India's education sector is emerging. We need to give it more focus, and a distinct brand for Indian higher education is emerging. Moreover, when we talk about, guys, India uses largely English as the main language in science and higher education. Though now government is pushing that in Hindi also the higher education or courses should be provided, but largely we use English, which makes it easier to interact with the rest of the world. India's talent is exportable because of the usage of English that has been there. So now as we have become the G20 leader, we need to further focus on as how India's education could be leveraged. Okay, now in this particular capacity, guys, the two developments have happened. One is a conference in India of leaders of universities in the G20 countries with the aim of acquainting them with India's academic opportunities. So India under G20's chair will hold this conference with the leaders of other G20 countries in their universities. Okay, then the second is that the creation of a prestigious scholarship program that would provide Indian students and faculty time in leading universities. So we will provide the scholarships to the student. They can go in foreign universities. The faculties can go in foreign universities and can get exposure and the best practices that they learn here, how to implement it in India. So scholarship program, and we are also going to host a meet with the other university leaders in G20 countries. So by that, India is going to collaborate. Fine. So this is something that has happened in this particular article, guys. And now moving to next article. Okay. So I hope that this particular article is clear. Okay. Now, okay, guys, moving to next article. Okay. Changing politics, incompatible governors. Changing politics, incompatible governors. So guys, in the past 1 month, I don't even remember how many articles on the position of governor we have discussed. So I think whenever Hindu doesn't find a suitable article to place in their editorial, they put one article of governor. Okay, anyhow, let's see that what this article is talking about. So this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, federal issues. GS paper number 2, federal issues. Okay. Now, we have seen this particular thing, guys, that the position of governor has actually become lot politicized, and we see this particular thing that governor has come in conflict with the elected government at many occasions. We have seen this particular thing that in Punjab, now the states wherever the opposition party is ruling, there the governor and the chief minister will always going to have a dispute. So in Punjab we see this thing. Then earlier in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, we have seen this particular thing. In Delhi, the issue is going on. Now the latest issue are two. One is of Tamil Nadu, other is of Delhi. In Tamil Nadu, what happened when the governor was presenting the governor's address to the Tamil Nadu assembly? So in what is governor's address? So every first session of the new year or every first session after the government has been constituted, governor presents an address to the house where governor will tell what government is going to plan for the next year or what government has focused. Okay. Now governor's address. So this governor's address, governor has to read a speech and that speech has to be cleared by the state cabinet. Okay. Now what happened? Tamil Nadu governor skipped certain portions of that particular speech that mentioned the name of Tamilian leaders, fine, as well as also mentioned the basically Dravidian model of governance, and he walked away from the house. In Delhi, guys, what is happening? There is a tussle going on between the lieutenant governor and chief minister as who will control the civil servants in Delhi, under whose administrative control the civil servants such as the DANIPS officer will be coming. Okay, so this confrontation is going on. Okay, in West Bengal also we have seen that few months back. Okay, the chief minister blocked the governor from Twitter. So these things are going on. Okay, now basically we see this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about India, we find this particular thing that the arena of relative autonomy to states underwent a lot of change in 1980s without formally altering the constitution. Now see this particular thing, guys, though we don't use the word federalism in Indian constitution, but India is a federal country where state has its own power, union has its own power. In 7th schedule, we clearly find the union list, state list and concurrent list are mentioned separately. And as there is a specific state list, state have the power. Moreover, state has been seen as more important in terms of their autonomy after 1980. If you see this particular thing, guys, that what happened in 1980s, Okay, new political parties emerged. Okay, liberalization of economy started to happen, greater devolution of economic responsibility, greater economic responsibilities was given to the state. Even if you see, the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act came, by which the panchayat and urban local bodies got constitutionalized, and the state were given power to define as what power are to be given to panchayat and ULBs. Though constitution also defined, but states were also given a lot of power. So states' power has increased, the states' autonomy has increased. Okay, so relative autonomy of the states have enhanced their presence as well as their responsibility. Okay, but the point is that, guys, often we see this particular thing, that the strong states are seen as they will go against the national unity, and therefore from time to time attempts are made to reduce the power and autonomy of state. No, this is not right. This is not right as per article. Strong states were uh, now, earlier, strong states were not seen as an affront to national unity. Okay, earlier, if we see this particular thing, state leadership, be it of the ruling party in the center or regional parties, they called upon to assume greater initiative and responsibility. So earlier, state and center used to come together. Even if the state was from opposition, if the state is being ruled by an opposition party, they will come together and they will collaborate. But today, guys, we see this particular thing, that the context has changed. In the change context, governors are assuming a more power. Governors are assuming more powers, and often they think that they know better. They know better than the elected state leadership. This is something, but this is obviously, it is going against the common sense, or it is going against the reality check. Why? Because elected government is one which has been chosen by the public through election. So they cannot be bypassed at any cost. They cannot be bypassed, but governor is going against that particular spirit. We have seen that when the states and center collaborated, fine, we see this particular thing, that it had that state based initiatives, they had a cascading impact even onto the neighboring states. Okay, fine. Now moving on. So basically, guys, it has been provided that the constitutional reasoning that resulted in the institution of governor in India may still hold good today. It, see, office of governor is not entirely bad. Office of governor is not entirely problematic. But the point is that we need to reorient the office of governor. Governor need to understand that what is their principal role. Constitution makers created the post of governor, so not because it itself will become a tussle, or it itself will become an irritant. Rather, the post of governor was created so that irritants are there, it can be removed by the wisdom of governor. Governor will use his wisdom and will try to become apolitical, but governor is not fulfilling that particular role. So while the constitutional reasoning that resulted the institution of governor India may still hold today, we need office of governor, it calls for the reorientation. Is it clear? As the constitutional head of the state, there are innumerable concerns, particularly the DPSP, that could be frame of conversation of the governor and his government. Governor should ask government that why now there are DPSP, which are the responsibilities on the state that it has to implement. On that thing, if the state government is not able to fulfill the DPSP's goal, on that thing, governor should have discussion with the government, but not on every matter the governor should pick the government. Okay, that is all about it. Now moving on, PM calls for prison reforms and repeal of obsolete laws. Okay, so guys, when we talk about the Indian prisons, now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, criminal justice system reforms. Criminal justice system reforms. Okay, now one thing, guys, when we talk about the criminal justice system, it includes police, which is entrusted with the law and order. It includes judiciary, and it includes prisons. Now, in the criminal justice system reform, police reform is one topic, judicial reforms is one topic, and prison reforms is another topic. So as we talk about the prime minister is talking about the prison reforms. Prime Minister is talking about the prison reforms, which is a part of the criminal justice system reforms. Okay. Now we know, guys, all these three verticals have their own challenges. For example, police, criminalization of police, politician criminal, the police criminal nexus, We find this particular thing that the police is overworked. Often the professionalism is missing. Often we find this particular thing that they don't have the state of the art tools, forensic tools, etc., to carry the effective law and order. Okay. In judiciary we see this thing that the judicial backlogs are there. Okay. In prisons we have another kind of a problems. Now for example guys, as this particular article is talking about the prison reforms largely. Okay. As the article is talking about prison reforms largely, we have many problems with respect to the Indian prisons. Number one, we find this particular thing that occupancy rate occupancy rate of Indian prisons is more than 120%. Some of the states have occupancy of around 140%. Means if the prison was made to hold 100 prisoners, there are 120 prisoners on an average. Certain states have 140%, 170% occupancy rate even. So point is that obviously when such high occupancy rate is there, there will be the problem of sanitation, there will be the problem of poor living, all such kind of problems will be there. Secondly, when we talk about guys the Indian prisons, we see this particular thing. When we talk about the prisons, occupancy rate is very high. We find this particular thing that under trials are very high. Under trials, 76% prisoners in the jail, 76% prisoners in the jail, they are under trials. Who are under trial? Under trial is a person who is lodged now under trial. Now you see this thing, that a person was accused of a crime and his crime will be proven in a court. The poor people, many number of time, they are not able to get a bail, and what happened, they languish in jail. So under trial are those people whose case is going on but their crime has not been proved. These are the under trial. So out of the total people in the jails, 76% are under trial. It means their crime has not been proven. And the basic golden principle of natural justice is that innocent until guilty. Innocent until guilty. So these people are not guilty, but they are still in jail. So it defeats the principle of justice. It defeats the principle of justice. This is one thing. Okay. Then we find this particular thing that in prison, poor living condition are there. Poor living condition are there. Bail is being denied. Bail is being denied. Therefore, the people land in jail. So we need to have a kind of a comprehensive prison reforms. Comprehensive prison reforms. So actually, guys, what was happening? Actually, what was happening? There was the 70 or 57th. So actually, what was happening? Okay. So actually, there was the 57th All India Conference of Director General and Inspector General of the Police. It was organized by the Intelligence Bureau. Okay, and in this meet, Prime Minister had said that prison reforms are needed. Okay, so this is something that has come. So Prime Minister had provided this particular thing that we need to make sure that our police forces, they become more sensitive, fine, and they should be trained in emerging technologies. Why? Because if our police will become more sensitive, they will not make unnecessary arrest. And if they are trained in emerging technologies, they can go for better investigation, and by that better investigation they will be able to solve the cases, and innocent people will not be arrested and they will not land in jail. Prime Minister guys here, now the red one, fine, is important. So Prime Minister has specifically talked about the National Data Governance Framework. Has talked about that National Data Governance Framework should be used for smoothing the data exchange across agencies. Now, what is this National Data Governance Framework that Prime Minister has talked about? Okay, so basically, guys, the National Data Governance Framework, it it is a plan to share the non-personal or anonymized data between different agencies. When we talk about data, there can be personal data, there can be non-personal data. Personal data, my date of birth is my personal data. My date of birth, my photograph, okay, my health record, they are the personal data. Non-personal data is different. Okay, for example, the traffic movement, the weather data is a non-personal data. How much traffic or how much cars move from at a particular road, it is a non-personal data. So we have such personal and non-personal data. So non-personal data, fine, and anonymized data. Anonymized data क्या होता है? Anonymized data is the data which was personal, but then the entries in that data which can trace, okay, now which can trace itself to some person, it has been removed. Okay, for example, Mr. X has diabetes, Mr. Y has diabetes, Mr. Z has Mr. Z, suppose let's say, has TB. This is a personalized data. Mr. X has diabetes, personal data. Mr. Z has TB, personalized data. Mr. Y has diabetes, personal data. How to anonymize it? Now you say this thing: two people have diabetes and one person has a TB. One person has TB. So what we did, now the diabetes was being tracked to X, diabetes was tracked to Mr. Y. You remove these personal references and that becomes the anonymized data. So anonymized data is that data which was personal, but that personal indicators have now been removed. Okay, so now what is this National Data Governance Framework? It provides that non-personal data and anonymized data from the government and private entities should be accessible by research and innovation ecosystem. It provides this particular thing, that basically we need to create the data sets, we need to create data sets, metadata, okay, or we need to standardize the data so that the different agencies should use that data more effectively. Okay, now see this thing, that data actually plays a very important role in almost all the functions today, okay, of administration, law and order, and anything. So it has been provided that basically it has been provided that the National Data Governance Framework, it should be strengthened. A lot of non-personal data, as we have designed, it should be shared, and that non-personal data and that data actually should be used for solving of the cases. Okay, that particular data should be used for effective law and order and all such kind of things. Now Prime Minister have also provided this particular thing, that technological solutions such as biometrics for identification of identity, etc., should be used. Moreover, traditional policing mechanisms such as foot patrols, so police people doing foot patrols, thus areas which are more prone to crime, it needs to be increased. And moreover, he said that obsolete criminal laws, fine, needs to be repealed. Many criminal laws which are colonial, which doesn't makes any sense today, they are needed to be repealed and they are needed to be removed. This is something that has been provided. He also talked about strengthening the border as well as coastal security. Okay. You see this thing, that the Mumbai terror attack that happened, the terrorist came from the coast. Okay, so that region. Now understand this thing, guys, that you are not required to go and follow the word by word statement that was given by Prime Minister, this initiatives, etc., but just we need to see. Then personal pay to address disparity between brigadier and major general. Okay, so guys, major general is senior to brigadier, major general is senior to brigadier. Okay, but there is one problem that has come. The problem is that actually the salary of brigadier is more than major general. Okay, now understand this thing, you don't need to go too much into detail in this article, I'm telling you very frankly, but just to tell that what is this issue is going on, and one keyword is here just to explain that I'm telling you this thing. But for exam, not very much important, I'm admitting it myself. See this thing, brigadier, yes, major general is senior to the brigadier, but actually salary of brigadier is high than the major general. Why? So the pay of brigadier is around 2.17 lakh rupees. Okay, and then there is an MSP that is added and it becomes 2.33 lakh rupees. Now what is this MSP? Basically, guys, it is called as military service pay. Military service pay. Now this military service pay was recommended by the 6th Pay Commission. What is military service pay? Military service pay is an additional payment that is made to the officers because of the hardships that they face in their service. So military service pay was recommended. Now the military service pay is given till the rank of brigadier. So brigadier's salary in that military service pay will be added. But when we talk about the major general, okay, when we talk about the major general doesn't get this military service pay. And because of that particular thing, what happens, the salary of brigadier is more and the salary of major general is less compared to brigadier. Okay, so now here a suggestion is being given, a suggestion has been given, and the suggestion is that add one more element, that is personal pay, to the salary of the major general, so that the major general's salary comes at par, if at least at the salary of the brigadier. So this is issue that is going on. Now what has happened, government, now what has happened, it has been provided that defense sources had said that this proposal has been given by defense ministry, but finance ministry has not cleared the proposal. Proposal has been given by defense ministry, but the finance ministry has not cleared the proposal. Okay, I hope that you understood. Again, I'll explain in 30 seconds. So major general is senior to brigadier, but salary of brigadier is high. Why his salary is high? Because he get an additional MSP, that is the military service pay, which was proposed by the 6th of pay commission. This is an extra pay that is given to compensate for the hardships that you will face in your job. But that payment is given to brigadier, but not to the major general. So what happens? The salary of brigadier becomes more high. Now to undo this disparity, a personal pay, an additional personal pay has been suggested for the major general also, so that their salary comes at least at parity. This is something that has happened. Okay, now moving guys to the mains practice question. Okay, so management of the Indian education faces challenges of over centralization, bureaucratic structures, and lack of accountability and professionalism. In this context, suggest suitable measures. So this will be guys a 10 marker question for GS paper number 2 education. GS paper number 2 education. That is all about it. Fine guys, I hope that you have understood this entire issue. Okay, so that is all guys for the today, and that is all for today, and now we'll be meeting tomorrow, that is on Tuesday. Until then guys, please take care of yourselves. Okay, and yes, one more thing I want to just admit, that I said that I will put this question in the start here, so that the people who take printout, they can write here only, but actually I forgot it, as there are so much of the things that are to be done in the morning, even including making this compilation. So but in next class I will definitely do that. Okay, so that is all guys. So old habits die hard. Fine. Okay, so that is all guys about it. There are few questions. I can observe that states with governor and SG conflicts are those where the BJP government is not there. So yes, opposition party wherever there is, it is the issue. Sir, my concern, governor is symbol of colonial era. To eradicate the post by making chief secretary can report the administration executive. See, you can suggest, but that will become a too radical kind of a suggestion. Okay, so point is that we need to look at reforming it first. If reform doesn't work, so then you can give such suggestions, but it will become a very radical. Okay, so that is all guys about it, and a very good morning to all of you. BSK, uh, GSSB English, Nilu, Rajeshwari, Aishwarya, Dhanshri, Muthu, Pallavi, Abhishek, Dr. Santosh, Athira, Jarupla, Lavkush, Sandeep, Archana, P477, Mahesh Bhai, Gauri, Gaurinath, Animal and Dunya, Songam, Dr. Santosh, Parshuram, Philomi, Papaji, Idris, Shital, Nikhil Sagar, Madhuresh, Bhagyarani, Kumar Rao, Satish, Akash, Rajshekhar, Harsha, Village, UPSC, AE Ravi, MD Films, AE Ravi, Chaya, Lakshmi, Kajal, Meenu, Chaya, Lakshmi. Okay, so that is all guys about it. I hope that you have understood it. Okay, now we'll meet tomorrow. Please take care of yourself.